and shall be enforced by the courts in accordance with this constitution. Subsection 2 in law, which is a clawback law, it gives you the rights and at the same time curtails or tells you how those rights should be limited in order to avoid problems. It says, every person in the Gambia, whatever his or her race, color, gender, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status, shall be entitled to the fundamental human rights and freedoms of the individual contained in this chapter, that is chapter 4, but subject to respect for the rights and freedoms of others and for the public interest. You see, it has given, the entire chapter is provided for the fundamental human rights, where you have the freedom of the media, expressions, fundamental human rights, but it's telling you subject to the interest of the country and public order. Writing stories or news articles that will in itself put the country into disrepute is against the 1997 constitutions of the Republic of the Gambia. The same constitutions, you go to section 25, that talks about a host of them. It says every person shall have the right to freedom of speech and expressions, which shall include freedom of the press and other media, freedom of thought, conscience and belief, which shall include academic freedoms, freedom to practice any religions and to manifest such practice, and so on and so forth. But subsection 4 of the same section, that is 25, reads, the freedom referred to in subsection 1 and 2 shall be exercised subject to the law of the Gambia, insofar as the law imposes reasonable restrictions on the exercise of the rights and freedoms thereby conferred, which are necessary in a democratic society and are required in the interest of the sovereignty and integrity of the Gambia, national security, public order, decency or morality, or in relation to contempt of court. For instance, we've seen what happened during the April 10th and 11th demonstrations, where people went out to vandalize and destroy public and private properties. Now this section is telling you, if you have any intention to go and demonstrate or march, and that is against the peace and security of the country, or is against public order, or is against the integrity and sovereignty of the Republic of the Gambia, you are curtailed by the Constitution. And that is illegal. That's what people should know. We should not talk only at one side. That is quoting some section. There's a freedom of press, freedom of the press. But what is the responsibility of the press? What the law says about criminals, what the law says about freedom of expressions, curtailing it. I want to be on record to say that President Jammeh is the champion of freedom of press in modern day Gambia and in the 21st century. Before the president ascended to power, there were only 2 newspapers or 3 in this country. But today we have up to 17 newspapers in the country, boards, news and sports media houses in this country. We've seen of recent the Daily Standard, the Standard newspaper, the Daily News, the Sport Digest, the Marketplace, and all other newspapers came after the 1994. Before 1994, we know how many radio stations were here in the Gambia. And as we speak today, we are talking about 28 private and public radio stations in this country. And government owns only one, that is the Gambia Radio and Television Services, both the medium wave and the FM band. Out of the 28, the rest are private and community radio stations. Now I think the Gambian are seeing what the hypocrisy is. Then the onus lies on the Gambian themselves, and which they are to be commended for their stance, and for their swift response to the hypocritical so-called 17-point by the European Union. It is disheartening to note that all the 17 points they raise is not even a single point that they talks about for the Gambia government to continue to support the government and the people of the Republic of the Gambia in the area of education. That is to eradicate ignorance, to instill knowledge into the people of the Republic of the Gambia for us to be able to be independent academically. They are not interested in that. They did not talk about agriculture, to develop, for us to be food self-sufficient. When you are independent in terms of food, you could be even to say that you are health-wise independent and education-wise you are independent. Because if you are hungry, you cannot be healthy. If you are hungry, you cannot be educated. They didn't talk about health. They didn't talk about infrastructural development. They didn't talk about socio-economic development of this country. Why are they only interested in the media houses and in the prisons department? The prisons were here before the 1994. President Jammeh never built any prisons here. Why we had the prisons is for certain people are not fit to live in society. The criminals, in order to build and to maintain order and law in this country, they must be put in place. In short, what I want to say that President Jammeh, 1994 to date, his government has given licenses to more than 30 media houses in this country, either print or electronic. And the government is in control. They could have denied them the license to operate. But they have created the enabling environment for people to have access to information. We've looked at the telecommunications industries. Prior to President Jammeh, there was not a GSM operators in this country. But after launching the Gamcell GSM company, the government extended its hands to the private individuals whosoever is interested in competing in the telecommunication industry. If the government is interested